Yeah.
in LA now.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, in the 60s.
That's good. Oh, yeah.
All right, keeping it going here. In the spirit of Chris Strachwitz, I'm going to record the Q&A with my little audio recorder here.
Be fun.
Oh yeah. And in the spirit of music, you know, Americana, blues. All right, the Q&A has officially begun. And before we open it up to questions from the audience, I'm going to kick it off. You've made a lot of documentaries specifically about music. And from my research, your mother was a piano player? Or father?
Mother.
Mother was in theater.
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell us more about growing up in an arts, or, you know, how that affected you and leading to becoming a filmmaker?
Yes.
Well, that's a great question. People don't usually think to ask that. No, my parents were, my father was a physician, and my mother pretty much, I mean, she got a degree in home economics, so she was a dietitian for a while, and that's how my dad and she met. But she pretty much raised 4 children, and that's what occupied her time when we were, you know, younger, before we went away to college. But my father played piano by ear and organ, and they would have the most wonderful parties with their friends. I remember as a kid, you know, being in bed and waking up and hearing in the other room the most warm and fun music coming out, that my dad was playing the piano and the people were singing, and it was just this sweet thing, and I just didn't want it to end. And then of course I would go back to sleep and wake up in the morning and it was gone. But my father, actually I realized that he sort of introduced me to the blues. He played one of the songs that I absolutely loved the best of what he played was St. Louis Blues. And you know, Chris says it's sort of, that's sort of a, you know, less sort of down-to-earth, authentic song, but that was, I mean, Bessie Smith sang that, for goodness sake. So that's a heavy-duty song. And I loved it. He played it different every time, and it was beautiful. I just loved it. So I think that was a big part of it. And then actually I've got uncle who played classical piano, aunt and uncle that taught music. So we did have, music was an important part of our life, but we didn't have like any traditional type music. So that came later, when I got exposed to more of this music.
Thank you. And would it be fair to say that your approach to filmmaking and your approach to documentary filmmaking specifically, is it through an anthropology lens?
Well, I got a degree in social anthropology, and I never imagined being a filmmaker. It wasn't even on the radar in those days, you know, late 60s, early 70s. Especially women didn't do that kind of stuff, and it wasn't like a career that you could have. It didn't even occur to me. But I ended up at this anthropological film festival, and I felt like I learned more about culture and people in 3 days than I had in 2 years of classes and books and stuff. And I got excited about it, and that's where I met Les, at that conference. And I mean, I've got a whole really interesting story about, you know, how, you know, at each step of the way I might not have ended up there. There were all these places where I could have just decided, you know, I'm not going to do this. And I talked to him for just 10 minutes at a party. And then next thing you know, like 9 months later, I was working with him. And the first film we did together was Hot Pepper, and there's clips of it in there where Clifton and Cleveland are playing. That was the from Hot Pepper. was the first sound I ever recorded. And yeah, so it was, and Clifton's birthday, 100th birthday, has just been celebrated with a bunch of celebrations in Louisiana. I mean, they're creating a scholarship. They have, you know, like a statue. They have a CD that came out where Joel Savoy, one of the sons of Mark and Ann Savoy, who's in the band playing violin now, has a recording studio. He put out this CD with these other folks of all these star musicians, from the Rolling Stones to Lucinda Williams to Jackson Browne, doing Clifton Chenier songs. And the only thing that I noticed that was missing was there wasn't enough Cleveland. There wasn't enough of the rubboard sound on the record. Otherwise, it's kind of a cool CD. You can check it out.
Back to the film, you probably traveled to so many different places around the U.S. for this movie. Can you talk about really how this came together and maybe some of the challenges that you overcame while making This Ain't No Mouse music?
Well, one of the first challenges was Chris didn't want it to be done. I brought it up as an idea. Chris Simon and I talked about it, and it was like, oh my God, this guy's right here. He's our friend. We can make a film about him. And so I approached him, and he says, no. And I said, yeah, but, and he just kind of shined me on. So about a year later, I was talking to him, and he said, oh, there's these people that want to do a film about me, and they said that they could get it on PBS, and on Monday I'm supposed to, you know, sign a contract with them. And I said, Chris, no, you can't. I already asked you. I already asked you. Chris Simon and I want to do the film. And he just was like, So he had to think about it for a minute, but then it was like, oh, maybe that's a good idea. He didn't sign the contract with them. And that got us started. We did have some other struggles with him. There was, when we were doing the contract with him, there was one paragraph that he was such a stickler on. It drove us nuts. I mean, it really almost broke us apart. It was so stupid why he wouldn't accept it, but finally he did. And then when the film was done, he was very happy with it, and we got to tour with him, and you know, we just had a wonderful time, just fantastic. Of course, it was hard to raise the money, so it took a while to, you know, to do that, and in between we had to, you know, work on other projects to make some money. And then right at the end, when we were editing, Les was dying. And the only good part was that Chris Simon came. She had been living in Salt Lake. She came back to help with him. And so we got to work together, but it was really sad. And I mean, our trips together, you know, to do the film, were so fun, especially the New Orleans trip, where it literally was like 2 or 3 months before Katrina. And I've got these 2 CDs that were recorded, were the recording sessions that you see in the film in New Orleans, and one of them is before Katrina. It says it's before Katrina. So of course, because we had just been there, it really hit us hard when that happened, and it's literally the 20th anniversary, right, literally a couple of days ago, or maybe it's today of Katrina. So, yeah.
What year was that original contract?
The release here.
No, when you actually started and signed the contract with Chris. I mean, you see him age by the end of the film. So I was wondering when it actually started.
I don't know if it was Well, what year was Katrina? 2005.
2005.
So we might have started it in 2004, and we finished it. It premiered on 2013. So, you know, it took a long time to do it. And, yeah.
Any other questions? I want to open it up. Yes.
Maureen, you talked a bit about, because I sat next to you, where all of this wonderful music is at. And we saw bookcases and bookcases of CDs and originals. Can you talk a bit about where it's at now and how people can use it for doing
Yes.
research?
Yeah, it's pretty great. The Arhoolie Records itself is now part of the Smithsonian Folkways collection, and it's totally still all available online. The Mexican music has become, Chris's thousands of 78s and thousands of 45s and even some albums. The Mexican group Los Tigres del Norte got Chris started with a grant of like $500,000 to digitize all of it. And this young guy, who's this amazing guy, he is the only person in the world that has heard all of this Mexican music, border music, for, you know, he's heard all of it, digitizing every song, databasing it, you know, with tags and stuff. And now it's available on YouTube, the Frontera collection. And for a while it was just housed at UCLA Chicano Studies Department, but now it's available on YouTube, and it's just kind of extraordinary. That was a dream of Chris's, to have it that accessible.
Is the retail still in front and in El Cerrito?
Yes, Download Music is still there. Chris actually passed away 2 years ago on Cinco de Mayo. It was kind of very touching for us. It was right during Jazz Fest in New Orleans. He was home and we were in New Orleans because there was an exhibit of Arhoolie Records and Chris at the Jazz Fest. And there were some commemorations to him, knowing how close to death he was. And we were there when we heard about that he had actually passed away, and it was Cinco de Mayo. And two years since, he had this thing in his will about his family being able to sell the record store or the building within 2 years, or figure out what to do with it in 2 years. Well, the people in the building were just like mortified to think that this place could no longer exist. And Les Blanc's son Herod commanded a big campaign to raise money to buy the building. And they did it. And it just got finalized pretty recently. So the record store is still there. You can still go there, and they're going to do some changes. They're going to create a little performance space there, and they've got lots of other ideas for the building. It's in El Cerrito on San Pablo Avenue.
Great store. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very fun.
I could ask, how much did you, what was your shooting ratio about? Did you shoot tons? A lot of it was archival or previously shot.
Yeah, well that's why it's a little hard to figure out the ratio, because the archival was just very extensive. I can't remember what it was. I don't know how many hours we shot, between 80 and 100 or something, and maybe and I don't know, you count 2 camera shoots as 1 or 2, and then the access of all the home movies, the film, Les Blind films, all the photographs, the recordings, that just adds up to hundreds of hours
Wow.
that we had the possibility to use. So, yeah, and it was very helpful that both Chris and I knew so much of the stuff, and we knew the people, and that was really amazing. For me, it's like home movies. I mean, I'm still friends with a lot of these people that are still alive. Of course, we lost Flacco just a few weeks ago, very sadly. And yeah, but I heard Anne Savoy was playing at the Ashkenaz last night. She's got her band, the Magnolia Sisters, and they were rocking it. And Michael Duce was there recently, and also incredible still. And Santiago, I think, is still playing, and a lot of these people, the ones that are still with us, are still performing. And the one sad note is that no speed limit didn't last very long. And we don't really know what happened to Amber, but she was so good, and we were just thinking, oh my God, you know, she's got a lot of potential. So I don't know if she, you know, got married, had kids, and then maybe we'll take it up again later, or who knows.
They're young.
Yeah. But I think Stevie's still doing a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
I don't have a question. Can I have a comment? Can I make a comment about what I just saw?
Of course.
So, being my age and loving music all my life, I've seen enough videos of looking around the room, or documentaries, certainly. And I got to tell you something. This is the one feeling or takeaway that I've got from this that I don't think I've ever seen in years and years of watching a lot of music is typically it's inside, it's loud, and it's, you know, lately it's a lot more about money and expense. But this, the amount ratio you mentioned, right here, of outside time, whether it was archival or not, or when you went on a visit, you went to the field, is incredible. It's off the top. It's outside, it's sunny, right? It's fresh air, it's family, everybody's having fun, having food, and it's, what's better than that?
So true.
It's
Yeah.
very weighted to that side, so I
Yeah.
commend you on that job from that angle. From
Great.
seeing it that way.
Yeah, well, as you can see, so much of the music is in the community and in the family and in the backyard. And I mean, there are certainly some dance halls and so on that are in there too. And it's definitely harder to film that, you know, with lighting and all that stuff. Yeah.
Did Chris actually narrate at some point?
No.
We have a few minutes left. Oh, you have a question? Go ahead.
Is there another film in the works?
Well, I have a new film, another music film, and this one's very different, but it's The 9 Lives of Barbara Dane, and it's about jazz, blues, folk singer, social justice activist Barbara Dane, who was a very good friend of Chris Strachwitz. She knew Chris actually before he started Arhoolie. They knew each other that long. She just passed away last October, and I did the film with Jed Rife and Nina Menendez, Barbara's daughter, and she just passed away a couple weeks ago after dealing with terminal cancer for like years. And we're getting the film out into the world. There's a big screening coming up. Put on your calendar, November 5th at the Grand Lake. And it's going to be a benefit for KPFA, and it's going to have live music with this young woman named Miko Marks. We have a series called Women's Rebel Voices Film and Music Tour. We're trying to pair the screening with live music, which we did a whole bunch with Mouse Music and some of the other Les Blind films. But in this case, more to bring attention to young social justice singers and try to bring in younger audiences. We haven't had too much trouble getting gray hairs to the seats to see the Barbara Dane film, a film about a 90-plus-year-old woman. But the film is about this very sassy, badass 90-year-old woman, and there's incredible archival footage and photographs that we have of her, and recordings she did with the Chambers Brothers and Lightnin Hopkins and Louis Armstrong and Pete Seeger and Bob Dylan, and anyway, she was involved. Those people were involved with her life, and she's not really a household word because she sort of stood up for her principles that sometimes closed doors to her. She was sort of on the way to becoming a celebrity singer, but you know, she kept being offended by the sexism in the music business, and so she turned Albert Grossman down, you know, Bob Dylan's manager. She just said, "Oh, but he wants me to change my priorities. I've got my priorities straight. I'm not going to give up my politics just because I want to be a singer." Anyway, so she's this wonderful, powerful singer, and I hope you'll all come to that screening.
Can you say one more time the details for the Grand Lake screening?
Sure, November 5th. I think it's going to be at 6:30 at Grand Lake in Oakland, which is a great big movie palace. So we got to get a lot of people, so tell your friends.
Before we go, you've had like a super long career and you're still making films. 20 years with Les Blank collaborating. You've been a producer, sound editor, director. What is the most satisfying role? Like when you look at your filmmaking approach and all the projects, like what really is most satisfying and fulfilling as an artist?
That's my last question.
Okay, that's fine. Well, I guess I have two. One is that I just love editing, and I have loved editing, and I feel fortunate that I found something that I love to do, and that it didn't bring me much money, but it was enough to manage, and it still keeps me happy. And then the other one, which is very valuable, is the people that we met in all of these films. I mean, I love them, and they're part of my life, and they're part of my family. I mean, I've got a Louisiana family, and I've got a Texas family, and I've got a Mexican family in Juchitán, Oaxaca, and Barbara Dane's family, her daughter's flamenco friends are all my friends now, and it's just this incredible opportunity to have had the privilege of being able to be part of all these different lives and meeting these people and the music and the amazing talent and the amazing expression of all these cultures. So it's been a very satisfying career.
You know what? It sounds like